Hi guys, John here. This video today is going to be an update video on my Aqua 1 Mini Reef 120. For you guys that have been following me or even haven't been following me, a lot of things have changed in the past week that I've done my last update video. For you guys that have been watching my later videos or earlier videos, you've noticed that I was having a bit of algae issues and I've pretty much solved that. The only algae issue that I'm really having is just diatoms on the sand and maybe a bit on the glass. But in terms of that, diatoms aren't really an algae that you should be worried about. They can be a little bit unsightly because they're brown, but you should know that they're basically fine for your tank, and all your bacteria grows off diatoms and eats diatoms. So you should really have no issue or worry too much about having diatoms in your tank. Unless you're cycling, of course, which is perfectly normal. Now, this video today is actually about my new coral, and it's actually about a big announcement that I've been planning and developing for a couple of months now, and I now know for a fact that it's going ahead. And I'll touch on that big announcement in a minute. Now, this video, as you can see now, it's actually a video that you can see all my fish are out. And it's pretty, I wouldn't say rare, but you usually don't get to see my tank with all my fish out at once. So you can see I've got my 4 clowns, my 2 up here, my 2 down there, my chorus wrasse, my other wrasse, my tang, and my blenny, which you can't really see, but he's in that corner over there. And that's been something that's been happening a lot lately since I've been keeping my tank really clean. All my fish are out and about and they seem to be really happy, which is something really good and pretty exciting when you can see changes happening that's working. So in terms of the new coral that I have added to the tank, it's been a bird's nest coral. Now this coral is basically my first SPS coral that I have added to this tank. It's a green bird's nest. It doesn't look very green now. That's because I just had to adjust my lights so the video can pick it up. But you probably would be able to see, even if I zoom in a bit, which might be a bit funny or blurry, you can see the green polyps on that. And that's because I just have my lights at 70% white. You're seeing that, but in real life it's extremely green and it glows beautifully under the fluorescence. Now with bird's nest, if you guys have been following me, I have had many bird's nest corals before and all of them have basically died within a couple of months. In saying that, I have never really had the knowledge to have bird's nest corals in my reef tank. I always thought that I would have just normally be able to have them, but it turns out that you do need to still care for them a lot. And now that I have been keeping my tank really well, that's what's been happening. And if you can see in my tank, in saying that, all this debris flying around is my chorus wrasse just went to bed and buried himself for the night. It's actually 6 o'clock at night when I'm filming this video, so he usually goes to bed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so you actually did get a bit of a treat seeing him in the video for this short period of time, but you're not going to see him anymore and he's gone to bed until tomorrow. But in saying that about the bird's nest coral, they're an extremely easy to care for coral. In terms of an SPS, sorry about that, an SPS coral. They're one of the fastest growing corals I have seen, and I've heard from many people that they've had great success and great growth from their bird's nest in a very short amount of time, which is pretty good compared to most SPS corals. And I've had this in my tank for around a week now, and I have seen a little bit of growth on it, but I wouldn't really say, wow, that's a lot of growth of it. But in terms of having SPS coral in your tank, you're looking at having good water parameters or maintaining good water parameters, that being calcium, alkalinity, which is carbonate, and then magnesium. Those are the 3 main things that you really want to focus on when having SPS coral, or really any coral that has a stony base. And as you can see, most of my coral have a stony base. Apart from my anemones, I have all my frog and torch corals. See if I can get that to focus. My torch corals, all my hammer corals, and then more torch corals up there. And they all need calcium carbonate and alkalinity in the water to survive and thrive. And for you guys, I've actually turned off all the lights in this room to film this video, so it might be a little bit dark or the video might look a little bit different, but please let me know in the comments if this is a good like angle. I'm actually using a selfie stick to like stabilize this video. I've put it in the selfie stick and I'm leaning it against my chest so to stabilize the video. So let me know in the comments if this is a good angle and good look for the tank. I'm trying to do a couple more variations in how I make my videos, and I'll see how it goes, probably just by everyone's comments. Now, the other thing I was going to touch on was this big announcement. I'll get to that in a second. I know I'm keeping you guys on the fence about that, but it's really big and should be a great expansion to John's Dragons and Exotics, the channel, and just in general. Now, I just want to also touch up on, before I talk about that, about why there is this white patch on the rocks. If you guys did notice, if you're observant, and that's just due to some Bryopsis algae that I had only on that frag that I had been managing for the past three to 4 months, and I just kind of wanted it gone, so I just plastered it with Reef safe super glue, and then around 2 to 3 weeks I'm gonna pull that glue off, and then I'll just have my nice purple frag plate back again, where I can fill it with zoanthids again. For you guys that don't know what Bryopsis is, it is a type of algae, and it's probably one of the worst algae you can have in a reef tank. It almost looks like a feather on the algae, and it's extremely hard to get rid of, so I've heard. I've had great success getting rid of it. I did have it in that middle rock where my bird's nest is, but it is gone from there, and I can attribute that to I believe it's a turbo snail, but it's not entirely sure what type of snail it is, but it absolutely demolished that section of Bryopsis, and it's pretty unusual for snails to eat Bryopsis, or so I've heard, but mine did it pretty good, so I was happy with that. In terms of the new addition to the tank, my tang is doing absolutely perfect. I did have a couple of issues with this tang in terms of fighting against parasites. It did bring some parasites into my tank that I have now eradicated. The parasites that it brought into my tank was flukes, or also it's basically a type of flatworm or parasitic worm that lives on the fish, and you can get them in your tank on corals and stuff like that, but the parasitic version come on fish, and it covered the tang from head to toe basically with little white patches of these little flukes, and they were giving him a lot of trouble. And I thought I need to get rid of that, so I ended up getting rid of it by doing a freshwater dip on it, and that seemed to have fixed the problem really well. And I actually managed to get 13 flukes off it, which was all of it that it had, and fix the issue completely. I will probably put a picture of how many flukes I got. I did take some fairly decent photos, and I'll see if I can add the photo in the video. I'll get my editing skills out and try and put a picture of these little parasites in the video that I managed to pull off this fish. And now for the big announcement of what's happening with this tank. a lot of people have been asking me, or I wouldn't say criticizing, but saying like a lot of the fish I have in my tank are going to outgrow it very quickly. And I know that, and I had a plan when I first started this tank of what was going to happen later down the track. So this is a 120 litre system, and it is by Aqua One. And I have now put on lay-by a new tank that I may have said in the comments with a couple of people that have asked. I have purchased or am purchasing a new tank in around 4 to 5 months, and you guys should see this tank on the channel right around Christmas time. It is a bit of a wait, but I have to save up for it and then go buy it. And it is the Aqua Reef, so it's staying with Aqua One, and it's the newer version, so it's the Aqua Reef 395. So it's not the Aqua Reef 400, because I didn't like the look of how bulky that tank was. It was very bulky and big, and it looked out of place, especially in my setup that I had here. So I ended up going with the Aqua Reef 395, which is basically the 400, but it looks just like the tank I have right now, all rimless, or it has a Euro brace, but technically it's rimless. Has all the sleek setup in it, and comes with your skimmer, all of your power head, or not your power heads, but your return pump, your heaters, your like sections that you can put your skimmer, and it comes with the skimmer. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. And everything, basically it's a plug and play system. All you have to add is your fish and corals and live rock and sand and stuff like that. I'll actually see if I can show you. I actually have a little, it's called a triple fin goby, and he was just at the back. I'm not sure if you saw him eating the coralline algae right at the back there, but he is a really cool little fish, and he's been in the tank the longest fish ever. Oh, not the longest fish ever, but he's been in the tank the longest, as he came on a piece of live rock and has been in the tank ever since. But for you guys that want to know, I'm not selling this tank, I'm keeping it. I'm transferring all my stock and fish into the new tank when I get it, which should be an interesting process. And it should be really fun to see how the progress of that tank has gone. Like I said, I've had this tank for basically a year now, and it will be a year and a half at the end of this year, and it's basically going to be shut down. Maybe in a month or two after I get the tank, I might start this tank up again to maybe breed my clownfish in, or maybe get a breeding pair of clownfish or something like that. But I'll still be decided on what that is going to be. And I'm really excited in getting the new tank. I've had a lot of I wouldn't say knowledge, but I've had a lot of experience with this tank, and I'm going to use everything I've learned with this tank and definitely put it to good use on the new tank that I am getting. When I say a lot of experience, I know what to do and what not to do. For pointers, I know not to ever get this type of gravel, or I wouldn't say not ever to get it, but don't ever get this type of gravel if you have a system with low flow. As you can see, I've got a bit of brown algae on the bottom. Looks still really good and white, but not something I desire. I'm getting a lot finer grade gravel or sand, so I'm getting probably just a normal beach-like sand. I'll probably buy live sand, which was another one of my issues that I should have done. I will not be placing I will not be having a wall of corals, which I have now. I will be placing corals and live rock dynamically and in the middle of the tank, and I'll have room for my new tang and my Corius wrasse and my other fish to swim around instead of just in front, which should be a helpful and exciting thing for them too as well. And it's 400 litres, so it's a lot bigger. It's basically 3 times as large, or basically 4 times as large as this system. and I'm really excited as to the process and the venture that will be this channel will be having. I'll be logging it all the way, and just like I have this tank, and you'll be seeing all my other animal videos along the way as well, like my lovebirds and bearded dragons along the way as well. And hopefully this reef tank will look good when I get it. So like I said, it's an Aqua Reef 395, and the lights on it aren't the best. That's another thing. All I really have to add to the system is a dosing pump, wave makers. So I will be getting 2 Jabo RW4 wave makers for that tank, and I will be getting 2 more, AI primes, as I have up here, and that's the new AI primes are the AI Prime HD, so they've got new power saving or enhancing power, stuff like that. So I'll be buying 2 more of those, and be setting that up on the tank, and that's all I really have to add, other than the live rock corals and more fish. So I'll be keeping you guys updated on that, and definitely I'll be keeping everyone updated on the growth of this new bird's nest corals. And everything is going really well, apart from the bit of brown algae I have in the gravel, but that's not something to worry about. I've got a lot of coralline growth. If you can see in my last video, that wasn't even half filled, and now it's basically filled the entire weir, filled with coralline algae. Since I started to properly dose my supplements into the water, it's been taking off extremely well, and I hope it stays like that. And that's all I really wanted to talk about for this video. If you want to have any specific videos of care videos or coral placement videos or anything like that, leave that in the comments. I read and try and reply to pretty much every single comment that I get on my channel, apart from the thank yous and stuff like that. If you have a question, I will reply, but if you have a direct question that you want answered pretty quick, you can find me on Facebook under Jonathan JD for John's Dragons at the end, John's Dragons and Exotics. So you can find me on there, and basically you're talking to me personally. You're not talking to a page. You're talking to me directly, because that's my personal profile. All of my friends and followers are on that. So if you are a friend on there, you can ask me any question, and I'll be happily reply and answer any questions about my bearded dragons, my reef tank, or my lovebirds, or the chickens, or anything like that that you guys have to ask. I will be posting videos of my other animals in the coming days. Since I'm on holidays now, school holidays, I will be hopefully updating everyone with everything that's been going. So that's all I wanted to talk about, just a new update on the tank and how everything's going, and everything's going very smoothly, and it should be great fun in the coming months to see the progress of this tank. And it'll be a bit of a sad thing to see it being shut down at the end of the year, but a new tank is up, and I'll have the exact same fun with that new tank. So thanks for liking and subscribing. And I've just reached, I think, 3,200 subscribers, or 3,100, and that's a huge amount of subscribers. And I want to thank everyone for subscribing and commenting on the videos, as you guys do help me a lot in commenting and asking me questions, as I'll always hopefully be posting videos for many years to come, and you guys should see the process of that. And that's all I want to say, and I'll see you in the next video.